Hi guys, Rando Gamer here with another session of Adventures of the Standing Bear. This is session 14, which finds the party up at the Magi Circle, which is the first time for pretty much everybody in the party. There was maybe an argument for Fia maybe having been here before, but the rest of the party definitely first time. And they really hit the books trying to learn about Fia's connection with the Phoenix and potentially the Druid, trying to find the connections there and potentially get a lead for figuring out why her powers are starting to act weird. Uh, a very fun sort of world building session where we learn about what the Magi Circle looks like, how it kind of functions, as well as getting some lore that we weren't necessarily expecting. And it kind of deepens the history for Fia herself and what it means to be the Phoenix. But as we get into the video, if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. And if you want to make sure you stay up to date with all my latest content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. But without further ado, here is session 14 of The Adventures of the Standing Bear.
Last time we left off with the Standing Bear, the Fellowship had gotten a message from Marie, who had these sort of like dreams and calls from Saffron, who was suffering. Um, Through the group's great intellect, they were able to deem that Saffron must be in the astral plane. Uh, Gathering all the people up together, the fellowship decided to bring Raiden, because he was going to be the one who was able to get the party there and back, and Null because of the context of the situation. With Marie also coming along, you all went into the astral plane. Uh, while getting used to the ability to sort of fly with mind power, it was the lead of Null and Endless that were kind of picking up on Saffron in a sort of macroscopic sort of way and able to sort of hone in on where she might be able to be. While en route, they were interrupted by an enormous space whale that had been doing its own thing and very much monstro style took the group by surprise and swallowed them all whole. The Throg, thinking very quickly, just moments later, before the group could figure out how they were going to get out, pulls off a Herculean uh, uh, challenge that most mortal men wouldn't be able to do, and was able to lift up the maw of this large, gigantic space whale, just enough for the entire party to be able to get out and escape freely. And right at the last moment, right before Throg would have been crunched down into nothing, Endless and Mhox were able to sort of pull him out, Indiana Jones through the with the hat style of the door, just in the nick of time. Uh, Going forward, though, eventually they would find Saffron, who is being uh, sort of mutilated by this huge, 60-foot tall reptilian humanoid type creature with a reptilian skull with greenish blue fiery flames in the empty sockets. Sort of like grapes being fed to Caesar, was very much like really just like enjoying the morsel that was Saffron's soul. It wasn't. It didn't take too much time for the Standing Bear to act very quickly. Um, it was a very challenging fight. A lot of the bruisers that typically wouldn't get below even 75% health were almost immediately compromised in such a way where they were nearly taken out of the game. But with the with the help of otherworld deities and inner strength and rage, the party persisted and was able to nullify the threat. At which point, Saffron, who had been put in this sort of large soul cage, if you will, um, the party realized that the more time that they had wasted, the more they start to forget. So it's very quickly the party begins to bash and do all that they can to get Saffron out of this cage, because when before the fight had started, she was like a loose shape of a humanoid sort of light source, and it had at this point grown to like the size of a small light bulb, and the light was sort of flickering. And with each failure stacked, Engless and Null would lose very precious memories of Saffron. Uh, Both of them like forgetting the time of like how Endless and Saffron met, and how Saffron basically killed the two guys that were tailing Endless. Both Endless and Null would forget the mammoth stew that Saffron would make, and slowly as time went on, would start to lose more and more precious memories. However, with the combined strength of Mhox and Fia's fire magic, the cage had been dealt enough where its structural what's the word I'm thinking of? Integrity had been compromised just so that Saffron could be saved. At which point, Mox handing the soul of Saffron over to Null, Marie sort of floats in and essentially is saying, "Hey, this is exactly what I've been seeing in my dreams. This needs to happen." And like Null was very like unsure, because wasn't sure what that meant. But through Marie's sort of genuine need to be reconnected with Saffron, and getting a simple one-worded please message from Saffron in her sort of dying light, the two are once combined again, and after a large flash of light, end of Shrek style, the newly Saffron Marie person is now like was unconscious, and with being successful in their endeavors, returned to Windshire. At which point, Null was able to take Saffron back home to his shop slash hut thing that he lives in, and laid her down in the neatly pressed bed that he makes every morning. Above which, mounted on the wall, is Saffron's bow with one of her arrows right below it, having this very like sweet moment of reunion. And Siegfried being part of the imagery was also sweet, kind of sitting right outside of the bedroom. Unfortunately, Saffron would not become conscious before you guys would eventually leave to go to the Magi Circle, because while the party was trying to figure out what to do next, a higher level druid had approached the group, letting you all know that Quentin was very disturbed and would very much like to talk to the group, especially Fia, because he was worried about something and has specifically not shared any details. So, small little things. Fia also stopped by to pay her respects to Saffron. Although she may have not met her, she kind of understands who she is from the stories that she's heard. Which was kind of a funny thing, because Fia, although she's never she didn't experience the memories, she's heard stories of Saffron's mammoth stew that she's made, and her mobile home, and buying the tower and all this stuff. The HQ for the party was still present in her mind, and so it's essentially the only ones really affected were people that were tied to her in that moment, thus being Endless and all. And Zaphreal, if you would have been present. So after talking to Quentin, y'all took a teleportation circle that had just been set up that will take you directly to the Emerald Grove. Instead of having to travel a 3/4 of a day away, you now can get there instantaneously. Um, Upon speaking to Quentin, Fia would learn that he's concerned that the flame that he is very familiar of when he conjures the thought of Fia's phoenix seems much more warm and not as blazingly strong. Um, Fia would then dip her hands into the small pond that they were by to attempt to like heat the water so much so to boil it. And though she was able to get it to a simmer, it was at that moment that Fia was starting to realize that maybe her inner fire, is not quite as strong as it was before. Uh, Quentin, not necessarily knowing what that's supposed to mean, did share a lot of concern and posed the question to the party of what we should do to like figure that out. Uh, and it was essentially decided over some discussion that you all would be traveling to the Magi Circle because of the large libraries that they have to potentially learn through history books and personal accounts to get more information on this whole cycle of the Phoenix in the first place. So with that being plan being set into motion, y'all would take an airship to the northernmost parts of the empire, and even flying would take you about 5.5 days. And boy, did a lot of really intense roleplay happen on that airship. It started off with Throg talking with Cassandra because he had been like quite offended about how some of the language Cassandra would use to describe Graveborn and like how it's like kind of hurtful, where Cassandra was more of the standing point, like realistically speaking, as far as like being able to live off of blood, you kind of are in a dry county, so to speak. And the options that are available to you are certainly like bottom shelf type selections. However, Cassandra not being able to like separate within herself that idea and the angle at which Throg was coming from quickly dissolved into quite the argument. Cassandra sort of holding her ground quite strong and never really able to apologize. Throg would then leave in a quite feverish rage to the ship. There is a part 2 of this, but it doesn't happen until the end of the travel. It's at this time that Engless takes a minute to use the week or so of traveling to work with Xehtom to sort of essentially develop like a little web bomb grenade thing. That like the idea is like when thrown, it could potentially like trap or snare a target. Some progress was made. Like you were able to like produce results with Xehtom that definitely fulfilled the sort of like it was a good test, a good first test. Some practice and some work will need to be had for like the tensile strength of these little web bombs, because at the moment they're a little too splooshy and not enough sticky. Also, Fia and Mhox had a brief conversation about what exactly it would be that they are trying to research when they get to the Magi Circle. And Fia once more kind of gave Mhox the quick backstory of like how this whole Phoenix thing came to be, and not really even sure like how this whole cycle is like supposed to work. And they both concluded that like when they get to the Magi Circle, they might find that it's easier to find information on like like Troxy's life cycles and different reincarnations than it would be for the Phoenix, just because of like how um, contingent the presence of the Phoenix can be when the world at large is being taken into consideration. Um, and with that, though, toward the last day of travel, the morning of, right before you guys would be flying up above the Magi Circle itself, and early in the morning, Mox will find Throg, who's at the prow of the ship, just sort of like in his sort of angered and perturbed state. Mox approaches with generosity and authenticity, and they begin to have quite a like strong emotional sort of conversation about essentially Throg kind of is able to vent to Mox about how frustrating it can be to sort of work with Cassandra as far as getting somewhere conversationally, and he also kind of talked about like uh, Cassandra's sort of like persistent ideology of her being a monster, and how, you know, he doesn't think she is, but like it sort of falls on deaf ears, and especially all this like graveborn comments that she's made over the past week. Not only was Mox there, but what? Hold on, my phone's ringing. I'll be right back. So, what I was saying, I think
You were finishing up with Mox and Throg.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Was on push to talk. I don't know what happened.
Hello.
No.
You push to talk too hard.
Okay, so I was just saying. Essentially, Mox was able to not only hear Throg out, but was able to meet him exactly where he was in that moment emotionally. And effectively, the conversation sort of ended with Mox really driving the idea home that, like, though people may not check on him as often as they should.
You're echoing.
Yeah, I know, it's because Riley's still trying to.
I'm on push to talk.
Oh.
Hold on.
Have you tried pushing it and unpushing it?
That's what she said.
AKA on and off.
Watch this lead to like some like serious fight between Cassandra and Frog that ends up
Yeah,
being fucking
it could
spark.
come to that. I feel like there would definitely have to be a mediator next time they talk.
The skies crackle with fucking thunder and divine energy.
Throg would not want that, though, for sure. He's trying to work things out.
Cassandra's a dramatic bitch, though.
Yeah, that barbarian rage can only handle so much, though.
Good gravy.
Exactly. You want to see a monster? Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So he kind of drove home the idea that although the party may not reach out as often as maybe they should, they definitely have his back, and especially just like how Endless and Mox were able to save Throg from the whale's mouth, is enough evidence to at least remind Throg that they do care about him, and his are, you know, have their better, you know, intentions toward him, and also that Throg at this moment, his sort of well of empathy is sort of has run dry, and that's okay, and he might just need to take some time alone, or at least enough time to sort of like refill the well, because and until then he won't be in a state to get anywhere else with Cassandra. So it was quite a heart-touching conversation, and we sort of ended the session with you guys sort of pulling up to the Magi Circle, and let's see here.
The only other things I got, DM, is I don't know if it'll be relevant right now, but Cassandra was working with Raiden to create some
Oh,
sunlight
yes.
bombs.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
we're making a
It's like a holy water type thing.
Yeah.
like,
we're making a gas.
like some,
Yeah, yeah. It's a gas bomb of like, I want to say garlic, but then Raiden had the suggestion of adding a sunlight spell to the explosion.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to get to that part as far as R&D goes, but
Man,
as
that's
the,
devious.
the timeline that I had given for you, Cassandra, as far as that was concerned, was about 3 months of R&D and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see here.
There was a brief conversation between Mox and Cassandra where he mentioned it might be worth meeting with the Blood Hunter Council and specifically Lolray, the Blood Fae,
Yes.
to start working towards a plan for Ambrosia. And then Fia was getting more visions of her past life. So she specifically got the vision of the asteroid and the druid and the phoenix arriving again.
Right. Let's see here. So as we pull up, the amount of turbulence that the airship begins to take on is enough to like make you sort of secure yourself, whether you're by the railing or by a wall, because it seems as a unexpected gust of cold weather has stricken the mountaintops, which the Zilnets Hills are known for. There are times of the year where there aren't snow on the mountains, but it's not for that long, because of like how far north they are and how tall in elevation they are. They are quite snow-capped. Throg and Mott's most certainly aware of that fact. But as you guys all fly in, for those who are did you have something, Tucker? For those who are taking the sights in, it's a pretty overcast. The clouds that are sort of being formed in the sky like are blocking out the sun. The wind, there's like a 25-mile-an-hour wind gust right now, and it is snowing, but a lot of the snow that is in the air is like snow that's been settled in other spots. So it's kind of like a little bit of a flurry. And as you guys are coming and about to dock into a very standard airship flight tower that you will see very commonly throughout the rest of the Empire, you see in this whole, we'll say, like campus is probably about like maybe like a 5.5, 6 mile sort of square foot area. It's comprised mostly of 4 large buildings, and there are 13 smaller buildings that are essentially identical. The whole in the center, there's a large dome, very evocative of your guys' dome back home in Windshire. However, this is made of stone and marble, with, if in better lighting, you would be able to pick up more like gold flecked like accents throughout all the structure. And around the dome, in a half circle shape, there are 13 smaller buildings that are approximately, like maybe 3 stories high, that sort of surround it. And on behind that, in a sort of similar radial pattern, there are what appears to be 2 very large, skinny, almost like, not quite like a skyscraper per se, but it's the only thing that is sort of, I guess the only way I could really describe it. There are 2 skyscrapers on the left side of the Magi Circle, and in a asymmetrical sort of not in a symmetrical sort of way, another pair of sister towers that sort of reflect, and I'll sort of pick it up here. So we'll say that you have been. Yeah, the music is also skipping for me. I don't know if something's going on.
The fook.
Yeah, I don't know. So at this point, you guys have now successfully docked, and there are a large amount of different sort of airship deckhands that are sort of running the flight tower, and as they get you all sort of set up, all the bureaucratic stuff away, like, hey, why are you coming? Why are you here? You guys mentioned that you're here to do some research, and though it's not typically common per se for people to just go to the Magi Circle and use it as a resource, it isn't like unheard of. Most people don't make the journey because of how far north and how far up the mountains the actual Magi Circle is in. And I would say that there's approximately about 3.5 inches of snow on the ground, and as you guys get down to the tower, at the base of the flight tower, there is a cobblestone road that is magically heated, and there is specifically no snow, and it's a very easy path to walk on. You're told that the main library, that's like typical for just about anything under the sun, would be found in the main structure dome of the Magi Circle. But you are also informed that the 13 smaller buildings that sort of wrap around the dome are also the different like schools of magic when a wizard or those who are interested in the arcane would attend. And each sort of like we'll just call it like, it's not necessarily a fraternity per se, but like it I like to think about it like Hogwarts. Like if you are like learning destruction magic as a wizard, you would like essentially live in the dorm of that building that you like are part of that school of magic, and it would also be the same building that your classes and studies would be held. So each of their schools has books as well, but more so, around the actual school of magic itself. While walking, you all, despite the extremely fast wind that's blowing, that's sort of dropping the temperatures down, the second that you like touch down on the cobblestone road, there seems to be some sort of like ambient heating sort of magic in the area. Although you'll still need to like cover up your bare skin, it really sort of balances out oh my, it sort of like balances it out, so it's like still cold, but like not as cold as it would be if you guys were actually on the top of mountain like you are. And we'll pick up there.
And we just landed basically, and we're getting off of the ship.
Yeah, you're at the base of the flight tower. We'll say like en route to this large dome building that's maybe like half a mile away.
Cassandra would be one of the last people getting off. She's kind of stuck in her notebook, kind of writing.
Okay.
Throg's definitely taken leave of the ship. Not really being a book smart-esque person, he is not heading for any library. He's just gonna walk around the town and just take in the sights.
Oh, so you want to split off from the research crew?
Yeah, he's never really he's not an intelligent mind, we could say. He dumb is basically what I'm getting at. So he's I feel like reading books, he would just be looking at the color books.
He dummy thick.
Sure.
I don't think Zaphreal's ever been to the Magi Circle before.
I honestly, if Fia wanted to make a case for having having been to the Magi Circle, I could see it because of her political spy background. I think for everyone else, though, this is probably a first.
I think I'll actually go explore with Throg.
Okay. 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 So we can keep going along here, but actually, we'll just keep going through the rest of the thing. Actually, no. Okay. Who wants to be in team take a look around and team hit the books?
Team
Mox is
Hitbox.
yeah.
Okay. I imagine Fia, you want to go hit the books, right?
Yes.
Okay. Endless. Who would you like to join?
English will go with Throg.
Okay. All right. Let's see here. As you all are at this point still watching as a full group, the Fellowship will quickly realize there are quite a number of robed, clattered people that are walking around with different sort of carts that contain books and scrolls, and very like the environment here is very studious. There are quite a number of students and academics, at the very least, sort of on these paths, going from building to building, and you can even see some sort of like playing small magical tricks on their friends, casting lower level cantrip like magic to sort of throw someone off their groove, and the general sort of like atmosphere as far as like taking a read of the people, it's very like I mean, at first glance, it's pretty solid. Like you all understand that at least to some degree, the Magi Circle is a very coveted asset to the Empire, and has always been, but especially now under the current Emperor's rule. Being able to take advantage of the catalog of history that's been maintained by the Magi Circle has proven quite useful for the Urim Empire's sort of general strategy. So you guys end up getting to the point where you start seeing signs that sort of point you into the different directions of the schools of magic and the. Hold on, I have this on my thing real quick. Give me 1 second. One moment, sorry.
Now.
Do it.
So, as you guys start getting closer to the dome itself, you start seeing signs for the Cobalt Biblioteca. And it's essentially like, now that you're here, the dome itself is probably 2.75 times bigger than the dome at Windshire. It's quite large. It probably stands close to 150 to 200 feet tall. And once you're there, you actually see a number of people ranging from scholars and students alike coming in and out of the library. So let's see here. Is team take a look around okay if I start with library people first and then we'll come back to you guys?
Go for it.
Good with me.
Okay. All right. So, as the party becomes split, the three of you enter the Cobalt Biblioteca, and I'll give you guys the floor. You guys sort of walk in, and it's immediately warm. You can hear the sound of crackling fire in a large mantle that's probably 20 feet wide on one side of the room, and around that are very expensive-looking green leather couches that are sort of maintained very well and set up in such a way where there's lots of side tables and even mini tables to accompany somebody who is trying to read. This first level, as you walked in, it is there are quite a number of bookshelves that are quite tall, like maybe like 15 feet tall, just loaded with different books. You also notice though that just above that, about 20 feet up the dome structure is another circular floor. And by your count, as you look up through the center, there are 3 different floors in this dome, and they all have a circle in the middle, at which you also see like almost like springed like birds. You see books sort of fluttering around in a spiral shape, kind of flying indefinitely up the center of the library, and you see also like they almost remind you of fairies or small pixies. You see these like fey-like magical lights sort of tinkering around as they sort of fly up in a chaotic way in this sort of middle of the space. You realize though, looking at the top 2 floors, there's definitely more books up there. There's a lot of like space to research and study down here on the first floor. So, what would you guys like to do?
Cassandra, her shadow weave changing her normal outfit, since the cold doesn't bother her, to more of a rich person's luxurious type of book study reading outfit
Sure.
kind of form. She goes, a girl could just die in here. Only if they had something to drink. Aha! So why are we here again? What are we studying, Fia?
We're trying to find the details on the past of the Phoenix, and Mox and I think the best way to find that is to start with finding Troxy / Quentin's lifeline and like kind of see the last time we encountered each other.
That's manageable. Maybe I might be able to find some books on my current alchemist project on the side. Well, lead the way, dear. She gives you kind of a grin. Playful grin.
So, how would you like to go about looking for said books? Do you want to like take a stab at it yourself, or do you want to get your hands on maybe some sort of it's not the librarian, but it's the people who do the stuff that the librarian doesn't have enough time for. What are they called?
The clerk?
Clerks, I guess. Yeah, like the people
Yeah.
who are like, like taking books back and forth, putting them back on the shelves and all that shit. I guess a clerk, yeah.
She'll wait for Fia to look, and then she'll ask the clerk as well. But she'll wait. She'll let Fia lead the way on this one for a minute.
Yeah, I was gonna suggest we ask a clerk, but I don't really know what to ask. Like, how do we refer to Troxy? Like, how would we ask them about that? I don't know.
The Emerald Grove might be like, or the Emerald Council might be a good standing point, possibly.
Okay. Yeah, we can start there and see if they know what that is. So I guess I'll just wave down the nearest clerk.
Right as you do, you see this this person is kind of pushing a small cart, and one of the wheels is quite. And right as you call their attention, they almost like trip over their robe just a little bit, and they look over to you, and you see they have like quite large circular glasses that only magnify the eyes slightly. Short, like military cut hair that's light blonde, almost translucent, and you see small elven ears that stick up the side of the ear, side of the head, giving you guys the impression that they are a half elf. They sort of sturdy you over with their cart. Oh yes, hello. Can I help you find something?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you've ever heard of this before, but we're looking for any information on the Emerald Grove. It's like a druid type character who reincarnates every life.
Interesting. Reincarnation is not necessarily my specialty as far as historical records go, but I do know where you can look. And she pulls out a pamphlet that essentially is like a magically enchanted piece of paper. And as she gives it to you, it almost looks like one of those like mall maps that you find, those directories. Um, but as she sort of waves her hand, you can see she sort of traces a arcane shape into the air. When suddenly there's a small flash on the paper that's given to you that lets you know where you are at and where you need to go. And so she points out on the second floor, right over in the furthest western section, is probably your best bet to start looking. Though, if you find not, if you have trouble finding things, you may want to ask some of the people upstairs because they're more likely to know. Um, Essentially, she gives you guys like a video game mini map. You guys are like a little triangle on the map, and you can kind of like look down to see like you can see like a waypoint has been made to like at least on the map to like give you a direct line to where exactly you need to go. Um, Going up the stairs, you will notice that there is on the other side of the staircase, which we're going to say it's like about 30 feet wide, and it has a little bit of a curve to it. Um, and you can see there is a lowly sort of wizard scribe-looking gentleman who appears to be no older than like maybe 22, trying to work with what looks to be like a small pseudo dragon, which are basically pygmy dragons that don't grow any bigger than they are. And he seems to be like training or trying to do something with them, and is frequently getting bit on the hand and scorched his robes. You can see it's sort of charred at the end. But making your way up to the library, excuse me, the second floor of the library, uh, go ahead, guys, and roll an investigation check to take a look around at some of the books.
Ooh, 18.
24
Okay.
for Max.
Okay,
Wow.
show off.
13.
Okay. So, Cassandra and Fia, you don't find much. Like you are able to find books that sort of talk about reincarnation, but it's more of like a philosophical retrospective on like what reincarnation is and like what are the implications. But Mhox, you are able to find what seems to be um, there's a word for this where it's like it's not a first account. It's like this book has been rewritten since the actual first edition was like made.
Like a codex?
No,
Secondhand,
oh,
secondhand retelling.
yeah. It's not the original source. It was like made. I mean, there's lots of reasons why people rewrite books that are in rotation because of potentially losing them. But because it's not an original source, some of the information in the book may or may not be misconstrued because of either
Personal bias.
translation reasons or personal bias. However, in the book that you find, it talks about it specifically references the Emerald Court, and as far as like reincarnation cycles. It's not necessarily like a bingo book of like all of the past lives per se, but there are several accounts that the latest one that you can find was from 1500 years ago, um, which lines up to about where the age of the scaled ones had ended and humanity was on the rise. Um, uh, but you also know that with your research that there is a like almost damning like proof, so to speak, that the Emerald Court is inextricably tied to Melora, who is the god of nature. And it's sort of in at least in this book, there is some speculation, sort of entries towards the end. Um, the entries seem to indicate that like um, this sort of like Emerald Court and reincarnation cycle is most certainly like tied to Melora, and there are the author is certain that there are wider implications to like why that's the case. They seem to think that this Emerald Court is more like it's more than just a protector of the primaterial plane. It's more than just that. They just aren't necessarily sure what it is.
Fia, come look at this. It seems. Well, you have to kind of tiptoe around the actual verbiage in here. It appears that this author has kind of compiled different articles of information pertaining to the past lives of Troxy and Quentin. The main point, and I think this is maybe what we focus on as we continue our research, is that it seems that the Emerald Court is tied to Melora as if they're like her avatar or an embodiment of her will.
Okay, interesting. So I guess maybe we can start now at looking at lore of Melora, potentially.
Good idea, darling.
Yes, I think that would be beneficial because kind of like we were thinking is if they are tied to Melora, if we locate her shrine, that might give us additional insight into these reincarnations.
While you guys do your research, I just need to go find a book real quick, and then I'll be back to help. Is that okay?
Sure.
At which point, we're going to switch back to take a look around crew, and we'll come back. The next time we come back, I'll give you guys another chance to do some more investigation to find some more books and whatnot. So, you guys, the rest of the fellowship who are sort of walking around the campus, what would you guys like to do? Like I mentioned, there are a couple of places you can go. In fact, alongside the paved road that goes around the dome, there are a handful of merchants like eager to sell to students that will definitely want their coffee and hot pastry treats. So there are little snacks and whatnot that if you'd like to pick up some, you can. But what would you guys like to do?
Dog's definitely grabbing little snacks as he walks.
Perfect. You end up getting something that's called a pig's head donut, which is essentially a cherry-filled glazed donut with bacon fat and little bits of bacon bits on top.
Yum. My real life self just almost wanted to open my mouth a little bit,
Yeah,
but
dude, that does sound quite nice right now.
Throg is like, oh, yummy. and he'll be eating that while he's walking around, just checking out the sceneries.
It's impressive to see the people that are so dedicated to their craft and their knowledge here. You don't really see that anywhere else.
Well, you gotta see it among our group.
Sure. Maybe this is presumptuous, but we're more explored. I suppose I should say.
I don't know what you mean, but sure.
We all just have a bit more experience in the
Ah.
world.
Yes, they're more book smart for sure.
Nonetheless, though, this I feel a little out of place here.
You're telling me I couldn't cast a spell to save my ass?
I bet you could if you tried, Throg.
Well, there was one time that I took a fart and there was a lit fire and it felt like I was casting a fireball, but no, I think I'm good for the mental minds of magic.
You casted gaseous form.
Oh my god.
My fart definitely did.
You get disadvantage on your next roll, Zaphreal. I just kidding. At which point, go ahead, all of you, either roll investigation or perception, and I'll let you know about some of the things you can interact with.
I'll go perception.
Okay.
Same. I did an 8.
8. Okay.
7.
Oh my god. Endless.
I'm sorry, you wanted perception?
Or investigation.
21.
21. So with that, Throg and Zaphreal, you guys are a little distracted from the like playground type jokes that you're making, talking about Throg's potential to be a spellcaster. However, Endless, you do notice that apart from the large dome-like library that you guys are walking next to, and the 13 schools of magic and the towers in the back, you do notice there are 2 smaller buildings just a little bit further down the road, and one of them seems to be a magic shop. The other seems to be like, what's that one oddity shop that's in Seattle? It's like they got like the 2-headed cow thing in a jar, and like it's like I don't know,
Like a freak show?
Yeah, kind of like you know, it's where you go to buy exotic knickknacks and very like mysterious things. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
A
maybe
curio
some-
shop?
Yeah. Like, you know, you could find like, you know, all sorts of weird shit.
Ah, the local drug dealer, got it.
Not quite.
Not quite.
I realize this is a little meta, but so you said like the schools of magic like are in big towers all around the city.
No, more like the schools of magic are, I would, to just give you an idea, is about the size of a an apartment building in a complex. Maybe a little bit bigger. And there's about 13 of them, equally spaced around in a radial form around the dome. And behind them, on one side, are like probably like a 80-foot tower next to like a 95-foot tower, and that's mirrored on the other side of this radial shape.
I see.
Yeah.
I guess what I was leading to, like, just from my knowledge as a player in the school of necromancy, is that tower represented here?
Oh, actually, technically there is 13 buildings, but your character wouldn't know the fact that I
Okay.
can share with you.
I got you. Okay. I just wasn't. I couldn't remember if that was revealed during learning about Radagast.
maybe. Okay, well, maybe I'll just say this: the 13th school of magic, which was necromancy, is not taught here within the Magi Circle, and hasn't been taught here for the last 175 years.
Okay.
And so that 13th building is used for like, it's essentially like the school store slash like commons building. You know what I mean?
Okay. I don't think Zaphreal would know about it, so I'll just continue on. I think I want to go to that odds and ends type story you were describing.
Okay. What about the rest of you two?
Let's check out both of them. Why not? I guess my whole point of doing this was to fill my well, as I have been told recently.
Told recently.
It's a long story. Mox can tell you, but we had like a chit chat, and he said my well's like completely empty.
Interesting.
So I need to fill my well, but I'm not really a big fan of water, so
I'm Throg. I feel like this was more philosophical than anything else. I know that's a big word for you. It means it should make you feel satisfied.
well, of course it's physical. I mean, look at me.
Well, we've got the time to talk it through while we're walking over. If you...
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a huge talker. Usually I just bottle everything down until it comes out as a blind, curdling rage, but that's just me as a barbarian. Yeah.
I can understand that to a degree, friend. I too am a barbarian.
At which point, you guys are now. You can make a choice. You can choose. Now that you're close enough, this building is like a red brick building. It very much stands out from the current architecture around the immediate area. And it has like a basic roof. And above it says Blasto's Amazo Emporium. And the oddity shop is, oh fuck, I didn't think of a name for the oddity shop. Let's say it's called Glisborn's Oddities and Antiquities.
Okay. Yeah, let's go to Lisborn's Oddities and Antiquities.
Upon entering, you do hear a small bell chime as the door sort of hit my mic. And immediately you smell damp earth and a unpleasant musk. Just at a quick glance, you can see like shrunken heads that are all tied together like a bulb of onion, sort of hanging from the wall. And there's a couple shelves with books that look very unique and characteristically appealing to the eye. You notice there are a few weapons here and there that all have their own sort of uniqueness to them, and some of the weapons even look extremely old, like weapons from a different age of civilization. While walking around, you can hear at the back of the shop that there's like the checkout counter is built into what looks to be a large soul cage, very much similar to the one that you guys had just saved Saffron from inside of, but it's been repurposed with a half desk sort of built into it, upon which the owner of the shop sits. Oh, hello there. The name is Glisborn. Just let me know if you want to see anything. Most things you don't want to touch. I mean, you can, but most things you don't want to touch. I'll be right back. I was just about to take the lunch. You guys be cool, all right? And he sort of like gets out of his sort of desk. I'll only be gone 15 minutes, all right? All right. And goes upstairs, and there's a small like spiral metal framed staircase that goes up to a second floor that is beyond your vision.
I am going to cast Borrowed Knowledge.
What does that mean?
It takes an action to use, but for an hour, I draw on from knowledge of spirits of the past, and I gain a proficiency in a skill of my choice for an hour.
Oh, that's cool.
Ooh.
I'm gonna choose investigation.
Okay.
Ooh.
So, feel free to look around, guys. Give me a investigation check.
Oh no, I suck at those.
It's okay. I'm pretty good.
Well, I rolled okay though. 16.
This
16.
roll
Oh.
at +5. That's a 23.
That's an
Okay.
11 for English.
Okay, Null, almost called you Null. Throg, as you take a look around, a lot of this stuff does look cool, but it's also like pretty old. Like it almost like, for those who wouldn't be interested in a place like this, reminds them of like their grandparents' basement that just has so much shit in it, you know? Especially combined with the smell, which doesn't seem to bother you at first. But with your general boredom starting to build, you end up finding what looks to be like a small case of what looks like banana cake. It's like a serving size of one, so it's just one cake, and it has a little card associated with it that begs the user to eat it for like a very fun time in a small like world.
Well, this looks appetizing, and you know, I would like to fill my well with this.
Oh, you're just gonna.
Oh.
Okay, all right. The shopkeeper was aware of something like this happening.
Well, hold
The
on. He'll
package
keep
is-
the receipt at
the
least.
The package is magically sealed. You're not able to open it.
I was imagining more of like when you're at Walmart and you like eat something,
Oh,
but then you
sure.
keep the package to like still pay for it. Was the
Okay.
idea?
Okay, I'll allow
I
it.
just
Because why
see,
the
I
fuck
just see
not?
Throg on an invisible force field, just like his tongue going in circular motions, his face and hands are all pressed against it.
So yeah, like I just said, it's like a vanilla cake with like a banana like frosting on top. Very good. And almost immediately you kind of hiccup, and then you hiccup again, but it's a whole octave higher. And then you hiccup again, it gets even higher pitched, and you realize the world around you is starting to kind of like grow, and it catches you off guard, at which point Zaphreal and Endless, you'll look over, and before you stands a 3-foot tall Throg. Throg is essentially the size of a gnome right now.
Zaphreal will look over with his glowing aura of eyes as his borrowed knowledge skill, and in quick like activation, I glance over and I continue looking.
Par for the course.
Par for the course.
Throg.
Yes.
How's the
Thank
weather
you.
down
I
there?
was hoping you'd do the voice.
What was that, English?
How's the weather down there?
You know, honestly, I'm used to it being chillier up there, but actually it's kind of nice and warm.
Well, how do you feel?
I still feel empty inside, but small. So, like, the hole is smaller?
The hole is smaller.
That's what she
technically.
said.
I kind of expected. Unfortunately, I don't know if you're stuck this way, my friend. I have no way to help you.
You know, it's not the worst thing that's happened to me, Graveboard and all.
I'll be honest with you. I think I'd be much more scared of a 3-foot Throg rather than, a 20-foot Throg.
You know, I wonder when I rage if I'll just go back to normal size.
Or you will just look like a very angry small Throg.
Yeah.
It'd be like Ant-Man.
Well, you know, at this point, I wonder if there's any more food laying around.
So moving on from that endless, right after this encounter with Small Throg, you end up finding what appears to be a set of 5 wooden dice. One of the dice has like a split in the grain. From you're not really good at like eyeballing these sorts of things, but just at a quick glance, like they're at least 60 years old or possibly older. Uh, the dots on the die were originally yellow but have since faded, and on some of them you can barely make out what number the die actually is. But there's a card next to it that simply says that these are the dice that you want to use if you want to win games with your friends. It seems to have a magical enchantment on it that plays in the wielder's benefit. And then you turn the card over and read, "Do not roll dice. Dice are cursed."
Oh, English. Reading that, thinking back. Turns to the shopkeeper and be like, "How much are these?"
The shopkeep actually is on his lunch right now. But on the card, it does say 65 gold.
They're all faded, and like some of the numbers you can't even read. Throg, what do you think is a fair price for this?
What? I was looking for food. What's happening?
They want 65 gold for some old faded dice. What would you pay?
Well, it says 65 gold. So free. I mean, I don't know. If you're not here to watch your items, then, you know.
Oh God.
Though I will say, you know, I ate a cake and this is what happened. So, you know, maybe just pay the full price or you'll end up worse off than this.
Inglis turns to Zaphreal and and asks him, "What do you think about these dice? Is this a good deal, good bargain, or should I learn from my past escapades and just put it down?"
Do you want the answer I was going to say or an honest answer, Endless?
Yes.
Endless, every time you've come against a conundrum such as this in the past, you have done the opposite of what I have asked, and you have paid the consequences, but are somehow still here. I say do it.
Oh my God!
Zaphreal, when he's no longer a responsible leader, can truly pull off the cards.
You're like the dad is like, "Oh, you want to smoke cigarettes, huh?" And you give him like a whole pack of cigarettes. All right, go ahead, smoke the cigarettes.
Inglis then looks at the dice and he slowly places it down on the counter and backs like 2 steps away from it.
Good call.
At least wait until the shopkeep comes back.
Right.
Find out what the curse actually is.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more curious about that myself, Zaph. Because it could be something that plays into my favor later on, but I better get more information about it before I just...
Hey, you never know. Live a little.
Zaphreal, you end up finding something that's quite unique. It seems to be quite a unique specimen. It's in a jar that's about the size of like a water jug for soccer games, like those big orange ones, you know. This glass container seems to hold what looks like a double-headed pseudo dragon. And though you're not necessarily so succinct with the arcane at large, the card is eager to let you know that this is quite a rare artifact and can be used as spell components for very particular types of magic. And for this reason, you see that it has a sale price of 3,500 gold. There is dust on top of this container, which gives you the idea that it's been sitting here for quite some time.
Endless, come take a look at this.
Inglis, like, very chauntingly walks over to Zaphreal?
I don't know much of the arcane, only that the most potent spells require a great cost from the caster. It seems like this can be used as a substitution of sorts for those reagents.
Wow. Whatever that meant.
Use this to use very powerful spell.
Ah.
Yes, I'm glad that Throg could get the that we got a simpler explanation for Throg, so that way he could understand as Zaphreal or as Angus kind of like looks up.
No, are you stealing it or not?
No, but
Oh.
considering there's lots of dust on here, this may be a good option if we should ever need it in the future, if we were to come back. Although, I feel like really there are only few in our party that would even be able to benefit from this item. At least at this present time.
At which point you hear, I knew I should have put those cakes in the glass case.
They were delicious.
Yes, I can see that. How much of it did you eat?
I think the whole thing.
Oh, you just see like the anime nervous sweat just like drop down the side of the head. Oh, okay. Well, we'll just call it 45 gold and call it good.
Wait. How long does this last for?
Well, you said you ate the whole thing, right?
Yeah, maybe missed some crumbs, but
I mean, it's hard to say. It could be at least 48 hours.
Is
well,
there any way we can reverse it? We kind of need a big Throg.
Oh, you
Yeah,
so
sorry.
fine.
There's nothing I can do. Those are some, I call them crazy banana cakes. They're popular with the young folks here, but they only use like little tiny nibbles at a time.
you know, I honestly thought they were psychedelics or something when I ate them, but you know.
I mean, how else would you describe this effect?
Oh, that's pretty psychedelic.
Shortening.
Psychedelic shortening. Hey, I also I'm curious. So, yeah, Throg, he's gonna be this way for like 2 days. That's cool, I guess. But can you tell me more about this dice set and also this thing that my friend's holding?
Yes. So the dice, they're nice. You use the dice and you'll win every single game that you can. Unfortunately, they are cursed, and so the more you use them, the more unwilling the person who has them in their possession they are to give up. And once that sort of codependency on the dice has been made, the curse really takes into effect. And you slowly lose all your money because you can no longer win games, and you bet more and more of your gold until you have nothing. So,
But
would not recommend, but it is a good party gift.
oh,
Like hell, what the fuck?
Oh,
What?
and the pseudo dragon. Honestly, I don't really expect to ever sell the thing because of how much I have to sell it for to begin with. It's more become an iconic item in my shop, nonetheless. But back in the day, before mankind was limited by the gods, we could manipulate the arcane in such a way and cast world-changing magic. And this reagent, as he gestures towards the two-headed pseudo-dragon, was very commonly used in these powerful magics. Some even say they were used in 13th or 14th level spells.
I thought
how much?
there were only 9.
Yes, like I said, many, many eons ago, mankind had realized that they had gone too far, and the gods punished them, at which point they were capped. There was only a certain point that mankind could get through the arcane to avoid disastrous situations.
Yes, very interesting. How much are you selling them for again?
The pseudo dragon would be 3,500 gold.
Ooh, okay. So here's a counter offer because you said that you don't ever expect to sell it. So at this point, with how dusty it is and how long it's been sitting in your shop, I couldn't help but imagine that maybe any price would actually be a benefit for you since you've had it.
I'm going to have to say, no, I'm sorry. I am very much aware of its worth, and technically I could get more for it.
Okay.
I am not worried about selling it. Like I said, some people even come to my shop just to look at it.
I'm a bit concerned. What did you say your name was?
My name is Ralph Wilcox.
Ralph,
No, sorry, not Wilcox. Ralph Glisborn. My bad.
I was about to say, wasn't your name
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
2
Ralph
minutes ago?
Glisborn.
Can I? Okay.
we are a part of a, well, formidable adventuring group. And it concerns me that this item is just on the shelf.
Yeah, technically, I think that's illegal or something.
Well, I don't know if it's illegal per se.
English kind of nudges Zaphreal.
If you were to eat it, like, what would happen?
Throg.
Actually, Ralph, never mind what I've said.
Yes, I would respect you not go any further. In fact, if there isn't anything else I can do for you, I'll take the 45 gold for the cakes, and I hope you guys have a good day.
I do
How
have,
about
Oh yeah.
I do have one question for you, however.
You watch as his brow raises with impatience.
Your soul cage that's built into the desk.
Yes, what of it?
Where did you attain that?
Oh, I bought it from an old friend about 20 years ago. He had come upon it in a auction. And it was later verified to be a genuine, authentic soul cage. And I thought, what better to work out of than something that would contain my soul one day?
So it's functional then.
Oh, of course not. No. Purely here for aesthetics.
Have you heard of any other persons that may have another copy of it?
I am not sure, but my patience does wane. You'll have to forgive me. I must have eaten too much food.
Can I see if he is hiding any key information?
Make an insight check.
While he's doing that, quick question: have we been paid from our monthly our sales and everything?
It's been a while since you went back to collect, but you
Yeah.
did do it within the last month and a half. Because you emptied your coffers before you went to Collinsburg to acquire airships and whatnot. But it's been about a month and a half since then, so you do have some money to collect if you find yourself back in headquarters.
Cool. We need to do that.
What was your insight check?
It was 9.
You don't get the impression that he's hiding anything from you. He seems, although he's kept a mostly professional a manner amongst himself, he seems rather agitated because of Throg's little decision to eat the cake, and therefore not really willing to like keep any sort of hospitable conversation going.
Well, I guess if you can't do anything for us, it's best that we just go.
Do you have any drugs?
Good day, gentlemen, as he
Good day.
ushers
Damn
you
it.
out the store.
I'm willing to pay for some information.
I would like to know we haven't paid him shit.
I just assumed you guys forked over 45 gold.
We haven't paid him shit.
Not yet. I mean, he's just kind of pushing us out.
Okay, well, I got carried away, and so that's what's happening. Right as you guys say this, he says, "Yes, gentlemen, yes, thank you. My shop is quite great, and I appreciate your patronage, and goodbye," as he sort of ushers you guys out and closes the door. At which point, we're going to take a moment to go back to hitting the books crew. But I want to take a 10-minute break. I'm going to re-up on some drinks, give everybody enough time to powder their noses, and we will continue at 9:09. All right. So as our camera sort of has like a panning slow shot of a front facing of the oddities and antiquities shop, we see the half of the standing bear get escorted out as the camera then zooms backwards and phases through the dome itself. We come upon the rest that are doing research. So I would like everybody to go ahead and roll me an investigation check, and I also want to hear specifically like what you're wanting to look for. I know you said something about poisons or something, right?
Cassandra, so there's two things Cassandra wants to do. She wants to go find the clergy again, and she's going to ask on looking for magical alchemist books.
Okay, what like in what context?
She's looking for more research of how to make a vapor that can damage high-powered undead. And
Interesting. Okay, go ahead and roll an investigation check for me.
Okay. Yes, 18.
18. So after getting one of the clerks to show you around, at which point I'll take the opportunity to sort of describe. Every clerk in here is designated by a simple light blue robe that is hooded, and around the hood and arms and robe itself is like a white, blue, and gold color pattern. Very evocative of the Empire, because those are the three main colors. But you are escorted to the other side of the second floor. When you look, you can see just across the way Mhox and Fia kind of going through different parts of the shelves. And you end up finding a book with the clerk's help. Actually, because you're using the clerk, go ahead and make that roll one more time and see if it's higher than a 19. Because
Sure.
I'm going to give you a retroactive advantage.
Not 20.
Cool. So you end up finding a book that is a first-hand account. The book that you're reading through is about 230 years old. It's bound with a very basic leather, and on the front is a very esoteric-looking symbol. You don't recognize it, but upon reading the entries, it reads like a field guide.
Okay.
And the entries are notated by an individual named Cursebringer Mhox. And though it's not necessarily a big focus on alchemy per se, you do find like there are certain recipes that you could say like that make recommendations for using certain natural products that you could find in the wilderness, like a specific type of root that you could distill down and extract the oils from, that could add to the potency of something. But throughout the entire book, after each like suggestion of like this could be something that could do the trick, it's always prefaced by the older the vampire or any undead in particular, whether they be a lich or anything like that, the harder it is to fell them with tactics such like this.
Okay.
But it does, we'll say, like the next time you do some R&D work with Raiden or on your own time solo, it will lessen your total like time spent to, instead of 3 months, to 2.5 months.
Cool. She's gonna take the book, and on her way back to Mhox and them, she's looking for any students that don't look like they're super rich, that like maybe 3 gold could do a lot for them.
Okay. I'll get back to that.
'Kay.
Moment. While the camera, as you sort of pan up and sort of close the book that you have found that has all this information, you start to look for students about the space. As the camera sort of shifts and floats back over to the other side of the room, Cursebringer Mhox, what would you like to look for?
Mox is kind of following up on the Melora stuff that they kind of had tracked down. Basically, looking specifically if he can track down like the most prominent shrine or like monastery or whatever associated with said god. Um, Thinking that there might be like something dedicated to the Emerald Court.
Okay, go ahead and roll an investigation check for me.
Yeah, I rolled it whenever you first asked for it, so that was a 16.
Okay, so you end up spending a little bit more time sifting through books, and you've gotten into this sort of like pattern where you kind of skim the first couple chapters and get an idea of what this book is, and you end up creating quite the stack. You have a stack of like 7 or 8 books around the table that you are currently researching from. Eventually, though, you do find a book that is it comes from a like a religious text context. It is a book compiled of excerpts from certain clerics throughout the ages of like significant clerics that have been outstanding as far as like the prime material plane has done, that is super influential about some aspect of the world. And it's in this that you learn that there is a shrine located in the sort of I guess it's you kind of have to sort of combine several other entries to sort of triangulate where this could be, but the shrine seems to be somewhere within the Meadoff Peaks, but more northern, and this translates to you by somewhere in the realm of Collinsburg, or maybe a little bit closer to the Meadoff Peaks in particular. There is a very like there are multiple shrines to Melora throughout the Prime Material Plane, but this is like the Mac Daddy, you know. It's also in this book you find that as far as like religious continuity, like you know how people had these stories for the gods, like in Greek mythology, it's in sort of the like god sort of mythos. Melora and Pelor were lovers and companions, and Pelor is the god of like the sun and light and justice. Um, and like there are several like sort of like biblical passages, if you will, for the lack of a better term, throughout time, dating as far back as 15,000 years ago, which is like the rise of mankind, essentially. But yeah. What about you, Fia? Unless if you wanted to add on to that, Mox.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay, Fia, what about you?
Quick question just for my notes. Where was that shrine for Melora again?
It's in big. If you guys pull up the world map, there is a town called Drar that's right on the Meadoff Peaks. It's about 6 or 7 hexes south of Collinsburg, and it's the idea is that this shrine would be somewhere in and around those parts. The first immediate places to check is obviously the Meadoff Peaks. The shrine could be in there, and there's also the massive Collinwood Forest that is right next to that sort of general area. So those would probably be the 2 best spots to check. But yeah, what did you want to research?
I was also gonna follow the Melora angle.
Okay.
But if like Mox and I are sharing information, which I'm assuming we are, I might
yeah.
pivot and look for Pelor.
Paylor.
Yeah, Pelor.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me an investigation check.
Oh, I already did that earlier, and it was a 19.
19. Okay. So you see a lot of the texts that you immediately find sort of talked about Paylor being like the literal light at the end of the tunnel. Paylor is a symbol of hope amongst many. Amongst all the gods, Paylor is one of the ones that have the most like worshippers and followers. And as far as like gods go, essentially the more worshippers you have, the more powerful you are at as a god and like what your influence can actually do in the world. And Paylor is like one of the top three. Melora also being in that top three. You do as you do some research though. There, as you keep looking on, you do find that there are no specific mentions or anything that would imply anything about your past life, but throughout the entries that you're able to read, there is a lot of symbolism of the Phoenix and Paylor. The two seem to be connected in like a sort of religious sort of way.
I don't know if I'll have to come back to this, but I guess in my next go round, I want to see if I can find any more information of the Phoenix and Pelor.
Okay. Let's see here. I just want to balance out the time a little bit, so we'll go over to to Sandra. As you're walking around the second floor, there are actually quite a number of students here, and you mentioned you kind of wanted to find a student that was maybe not as well off, but as someone who comes from an upper class sort of lifestyle, it sort of takes one to know one, and a lot of the students that you're surveying here don't match this like the like they don't it doesn't really like you don't end up finding anybody who kind of looks like a little scruffy. You immediately get the idea that like the Magi Circle is like what could maybe be considered like a very high like I think of it like something like Harvard or Yale. That's like a very serious institution that like it like has its own sort of philosophy and outlook on life. But yeah, you are able to like find a group of students though if you like want to like approach. Are you there? Are you there, Dre? Okay, so we'll just move on, and when Dre comes back, we can kind of touch base again. I'll give another round of research to you guys if you'd like before I go back to looking around town, crew. Oh, here we go. Hello. If you are speaking, I can't hear you. It's happening.
Hello?
Hello.
Nothing.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay, perfect. Sorry, my phone was being stupid. She's going to approach the. What time of day was it when we got there?
I would say it was about 10 o'clock in the morning.
Good morning, students. Here for a bit of studying.
Yeah. And you see this like human that is very skinny, extremely red-orange hair with like a mess of freckles on the face. He has square glasses that in the middle appear to be taped, and very large front teeth. They're not quite buck teeth, but they are prominent. And he goes, yeah, we're doing some research because we found this artifact and we're trying to see if it's tied to this specific emperor that ruled in the age of 22. Did you want to join?
No, but I'm so proud of you all for studying and taking it very seriously. Now, I'm here more on a simple request.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'd be willing to help you out. And he kind of like starts to like look at you. Well, what can I do for you?
She pulls out 2 of her experimental elixirs that she's made in the past, and 3 pieces of gold. I have these 2 elixirs. I'm an alchemist. And these 3 gold. Now, listen, I'm going to be here all day studying, and I'm famished. And she kind of pulls out an empty wine bottle from her bag of holding. I'm looking for someone to fill this up with their blood, as she also pulls out a healing potion and a healing potion to restore ya. You'll get 3 gold and 2 experimental elixirs.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check for me.
Can someone roll that for me so I can access my character sheet?
Yeah. Hold on. My computer's being not helpful right now.
Stupid computer.
Okay, hold on. Let me roll. There we go. I just had to refresh. Persuasion. +9. Ooh, here we go. I'll go ahead and roll that. Oh, that's good. 26. So he looks at you. Yeah, I mean, I could help you out. So what did you say something about blood?
Yes, just fill this bottle to the tippy top as she slides the 3 gold, the 2 elixir potions. If you want to roll for those, you can, or we can just say they're experimental, and a healing potion with the bottle. Just fill it to the tippy top.
Oh boy, lady, and you see that he seems to be stricken slightly by your outward appearance. Okay, I should get some blood.
Your blood, specifically.
Oh, okay.
That's what the healing potion is for, darling. To pucker you back up.
Okay. Can you give me like an hour and a half?
Sure. As she points over to where Mhox and Fia are, I'll be right over there. You do that for me, and maybe I'll throw in another experimental elixir that you can play around with.
You see, he eyes the elixirs, and though he may not be fully like gone through his education, the way that he looks at the elixirs that you've given him put a look of concern briefly across his face. Even a novice like him can understand like what you are giving him seems very volatile at the very least. But he just gives you a nod as you join the rest of the group.
Perfect.
Okay, go ahead.
When she gets there, she's going to pull out a small homunculus golem that looks like her still golems with a mix of a raven face and stuff. It's all mechanical. As she sets down the alchemist book, a pen and paper, and informs the raven to copy as much information of what she needs in it while she helps the rest with studying for proxy in them.
Okay, cool. So if you want, you can choose either Fia or Mox to give them advantage to assist in the research.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so we'll do one more round of research before we go over. We'll just start with Fia first. What is the next thing you'd like to look into?
I'm gonna look more into Pelor and the symbolism with the phoenix.
Okay, go ahead and roll an investigation check at advantage because of Cassandra's helping you out, trying to look for books.
I think I rolled an 8 and a 9. So 9.
Oh boy. All right, so as you kind of continue looking around, you end up kind of going in circles around like Paylor and like kind of like what his sort of like moral like laws that you should follow if you are one to worship Paylor. With a 9 though, you don't find anything particularly like that like kind of divs. I would say at the very least, Paylor is you end up learning that Paylor is associated with the Phoenix because of like because he's like the sort of the hope that you can rely on to like always be there despite your current circumstances. Much like the Phoenix, it is sort of this ongoing living sort of presence and symbol, and it kind of just goes into you get more information about like why the connection to the Phoenix and Paylor is so strong. But moving on to Mox, what would you like to look at?
In typical Wikipedia fashion, you start reading one thing and you click on the link to the next. Mox is kind of since we've kind of run its course on Melora, and now realized that there seems to be a pretty good connection with Paylor. It seems that Fia and Mox's approach of starting with what we know we can probably find to get to the Phoenix, it looks like we might have hit a good thread here. He's now going to take the approach of trying to track down the shrine of Paylor and see one kind of starting with where Maylora's is, thinking that they're probably going to be in close proximity, if not the same shrine, based off of the lore that we've gotten that they were pretty intertwined to begin with.
Gotcha. So you're kind of doubling down on the thread that Fia was just looking into, essentially.
Yeah, I think Fia was going with a little bit more with like the actual lore associated with Paylor to see if she could find a deeper connection. He's looking for a shrine because he thinks if they can't find it here, they'll for sure find it at the shrine if they go there.
Gotcha. Okay, go ahead and roll an investigation check for me.
That's a 12.
So you don't end up finding like I mean, because of the nature of what you're looking into, there are mentions of such shrine. You do learn that the shrine itself is built in honor of the like specifically the Phoenix, and it like because of the association, it is a Paylor temple at the end of the day, but it's specifically a Phoenix temple that is like I said, it's connected to Paylor, but it sort of stands alone. And you also learn that there is a sort of mythos legend, like the story of the creation of all of how it all began has been theorized since day one. And one of these potential like sort of theories is thrown out. The that when the gods left the plane for their creation made in their image to manipulate the world as they would, sent certain avatars, so to speak, to the plane to have an extra assurance of security to the world at large. And there are a number of gods that are listed, but the ones that immediately show up are Melora, Palor, Bane, and a handful of lesser deities that, in and themselves, are threats, but aren't. They don't. There's not as much detail on them that you can find because of the nature of the role. But that's about it.
Gotcha.
Do you guys want to discuss anything before I bump over?
Not that I can think of. I think it's just kind of understood that we're sharing information as we're going through.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay, so as we jump back to the rest of the Standing Bear, you guys, Blasto's Amazo Emporium is just right across the street, if that is indeed what you would like to do next. Or you could continue moving around and maybe look into one of the schools of magic.
I think if you were to like I guess what I'm trying to ask is if you were to go somewhere to like find specific information, like
what do you want to try and figure out? Let's start from there.
Find out more about the astral plane. See if I can find anyone who may be researched on the topic.
I mean, you could always potentially consider the School of Conjuration. To be honest, I don't remember what school of magic teleportation spells typically fall under. Off the top of my head, I'm just going to say Conjuration. But honestly, your biggest bet would be in the Kobold Bibliotheca that the rest of the team is doing research in.
Okay. Well, let's just check out that magic shop then. That's just across the way.
Sure. As you three make your way across the street, there are two large windows on the side of this small single entry door. That inside it looks very over the top, very, very eccentric. There's lots of hanging tapestries in the four corners of the room that have like this deep purple with a yellowish gold lining. This shop is very lucrative here in the Magi Circle, primarily because as you can see, there are lots of signs everywhere, and this is most of your guys' impression of a magic shop has been at Mystics and Wonders. This is very much more loud and in your face, and as you look around, you start to notice that there are some pretty serious magic weapons and magic items and magical weapons and trinkets of all kind with some serious enchants, and they only cost like the lowest one. You see that there is a ring of haste that's being sold for 120 gold, which normally would be like thousands more. But you slowly get the impression as you see some signs that are posted throughout the store that if not all, maybe 98% of the things that are purchasable within this establishment are made by the students that are learning from here. So it is possible to get a quite potent magic weapon, but they're essentially in a meta way is like there's like a misfire mechanic with it. Like there's like a certain percent chance that when you use it that it definitely blows up in your face or has some sort of like, you know, negative consequence, so to speak. So if you guys are interested in specifically looking for a like specific magical item, it's likely you'll be able to find it here because of like the large pool that they have of students that are, you know, donating their stuff to make a buck or two while they're paying for astral amounts of size of intuition. You know what I'm saying? So, if you'd like to look for anything in particular, please speak up. Otherwise, I can kind of just describe some of the things that you see in here, and we can call it that.
I don't think I have anything of particular. Actually, is there any flying adjacent items here?
Yeah. So
Interesting.
I would say you end up finding what looks to be a magically enchanted rug. It's currently rolled up, and it's in the shape of an oval, and it looks like it has like a very thick woven look to it. So the I'm just imagining some sort of old, dusty brown colored grandma rug that's in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Uh, it's theoretically possible to fit about 4 people on there. Uh, the rug is being sold for only 150 gold. Um, but there are quite a couple like notes that have been left on this item saying that, you know, there is a pretty the times when you try to activate the magic of the enchantment of the rug is not very high in your favor. More times than not, it won't work. But when it does, you know, you can fly just about anywhere you want to go. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It needs a new spark plug if it was a car. If you know what I'm saying.
Gotcha. I have a request, but I'll go last if you two have something you're looking for.
I was thinking either a belt of, a greater belt of giant strength, but not sure if they'd have that kind of stuff.
You do find some magical items. There are a pair of magically enchanted boxing gloves that, like, again, there's a misfire mechanic, but it adds an additional 3d6 to any, like, melee attacks you make with the gloves. You know, so there's some stuff, but, like, nothing that would, like, you know, you're kind of right. The stuff that you're looking for, you're not probably going to find here.
Yeah. No. Honestly, I thought they'd have higher caliber items, but clearly it's more of a learning shop. Oh, wait.
Endless, did you want anything?
No, I can't think of anything that English really needs or wants at this time.
So, Zaphreal, are you interested in buying the enchanted flying rug?
I think the implications of what will happen if it fails is a little alarming. Whether it won't work when we need it to, or it does work and it stops working mid-flight. Like, but I'd like to go to like the clerk.
Okay. It's ran by a gnomish individual who seems to be, you know, middle-aged. They have a very pointed black goatee with very manicured eyebrows as he looks over to you wearing like a gray and white pinstriped suit. Hello. Yes. May I be of service to you? The name's Blasto, and this is my emporium.
Greetings. I'm not sure if you have what I'm looking for, but I do.
have a lot of things.
It's a bit. It would have to be tailored to the individual I'm seeking to use it for. Essentially, I have a companion that I use to fly across the skies, and I'd like to be able to communicate with him at will.
So, are we talking like sending stones or something?
Um, I could show you who I'm talking about. I just don't want to cause a fright between the students.
He kind of like looks around. Who are you, buddy?
My name is Zaphreal Heisen, former leader of the Fellowship of the Standing Bear.
He just kind of looks at you as he raises a brow. At which point he kind of snaps his fingers and a gray and white pinstriped top hat kind of poofs on top of his head. Never heard of you. So, I mean, sure, lay it on me.
We'll have to go outside.
He kind of looks a little suspicious. Why not just stay right here?
I mean, I can call him into here. I just don't want to cause a ruckus.
Okay.
Zaphreal will step outside and beckon to Knowledgerin.
Oh, Christ. I don't want to be that guy, but I guess Knowledgerin could maybe barely fit through the threshold.
I mean, I'm still gonna call him from the like, what's the word called? The precipice of the door. What is that?
Sure, yeah.
I'm not going to call him into the shop. I'm just going to call him to stand right outside the door.
Oh, good lords! Wow.
He
Wow,
is from the celestial plane.
I mean, I have a pair of earrings I could sell you. Yeah, for sure. All you gotta do is you wear one earring and the other person wears the other earring, and bingo. Interplanar communication, baby.
I'm willing to try that. How much are you offering?
Oh, this is of my own creation, so I'm going to ask for a healthy 75 gold per earring.
Sounds fair.
So we'll call it 175 just because we're friends.
Wouldn't you mean that's 150?
Oh, right. Oh, sorry. Yes. Of course, 150. Great. And do be careful. They are fragile. And he pulls them out, and they are like a pearl, like a light purpley sort of pearl that is iridescent, more favoring the purple variety. And they dangle on what appears to be a simple silver-like chain, and they hang about maybe an inch from the lobe.
Okay. Is this an item already in the game, or?
I'm sure there might be some variant, but for right now, it is just coming out of my head.
Okay. What would I call it?
Let's just call them like simply the earrings of sending, because it's essentially just like using the enchantment kind of works off of the mechanics of the sending spell, but there are some changes to the sort of magical equation to sort of allow interplanar communication.
Well, I appreciate it. I'll let you know if we end up ever coming back of how they act and how potent they are in the field.
Of course. And by the way, I'm not sure if you've ever been to Mystics and Wonders, but I hope your experience has been much, much greater.
Well, we share a partnership with Mystics and Wonder in our guild.
He kind of like realizes that like, oh, well, it's been a pleasure. Actually, I just realized I'm running late for a meeting, so I bid you adieu. And he kind of floats up magically and sort of like yonders off.
May I ask you a quick question before you depart?
Ah, yes.
I understand most of the items here are created by students.
Indeed.
Just for my understanding of how things work on this plane of existence, with Urim at war, most of the prices at Mystics and Wonder are skyrocketed almost by 10 times.
Yes, and that's why my customer base has grown in this war effort. Because
So,
I sell to the people who can't afford the magical items that are at a more premium price.
so the circle of Magi is at a neutral stance in the war effort.
It's complicated, but mostly.
I might send some of our adventurers your way if they find themselves near here.
Oh, well, thank you. I do appreciate that. I mean, just, I appreciate that this was a nice, okay little thing. All right, I gotta go, pal. Sorry, I can't. And he sort of like pulls up his hand like as if he's doing like the phone symbol and starts talking to somebody. At which point, a clerk comes from one of the rooms that you noticed that there was a door from.
I'm going to go out of the shop and just through our empathic link, I'm just going to like give Knowledgerin a patient look as I'm going to pierce my ear
Cool.
and just show that it will be fine as I go to reach for his ear to do the same.
Sure.
Little trickle of blood comes out from my ear, and like a bit of the same from Knowledgerin. Knowledgerin?
Yes.
Wow.
He just sits very like expectant, awaiting order.
Thank you for all that you've done for me, and I'm glad I can say this verbally now.
Yes, it's been quite the honor.
Now that I can fully understand your thoughts, is there anything that you wish to do on this plane of existence, Knowledgerin?
Just to serve you in your endeavors. Honestly, I have this bond with you that is not to be broken.
And I the same.
He just like lets out a little bit of a growl of a lion's roar under his breath.
I have some potential dangerous goals that I'll speak with you later on, but we may need to do some additional aerial combat training.
He just nods his head.
Fly off as you were. I'll call on you if I need.
And he takes like 3 or 4 pounces, which each pounce he gets about 3 or 4 feet in elevation before suddenly he starts flying up and around the mountain scape. But with that being said, I would say you guys spend about an hour and a half worth of time looking around. Are those who are researching still interested in doing so, or shall I form the group up back together?
I mean, I'm down to still research if the rest want to do that.
if that's the case, I think Zaphreal would like to go back over to meet up with them.
Okay. Endless and Throg, are you cool with meeting up with the other half of the party?
Yeah, I think so.
I think Throg will take some time alone and head back to the ship. Maybe take a nap or something. Just do his own thing.
Sure. Okay. So as Zaphreal and Endless and you are both greeted with the other half of the party, which at this point they have been sitting at this long table that's about 3.5 feet wide and about 12 feet long, and about 3/4 of this table's square footage is like just covered in stacks of books and different scrolls that have been combed through. And you can see just like in the last hour and a half or so of their time, they have done quite a made quite the endeavor in trying to find information. So if y'all want to converse, that's fine. If not, we can keep going with the research angle.
Oh, welcome back, Zaphreal. And wait, who else? And did Engless come?
Yeah.
And Engless, and your face is still on. It seems like things went peacefully.
You keep
Well-
bringing up my face.
I mean, you do have a massive scar. It looks like someone tried to peel it off.
I'll peel you off here in a second.
I wouldn't
Oh,
say-
Engless.
I wouldn't say that our escapades were uneventful, but you'll find out soon enough.
Fair enough. Did my bottle of blood come in?
He stepped up.
Oh, he did.
Well, I feel like I won't be able to really describe exactly what happened. It'd be much better for your own eyes if you saw for yourself.
You're not. And as she says that, she's gonna kind of look around to see if the blood's coming up her bottle.
You kind of trailed out.
We
there a
can't
little
hear
bit.
you very well, Dre.
Can you say that last little bit? You're kind of hard to hear a little bit.
All right, I think there we go. I hear you now. All right,
Yeah, that's a lot better.
perfect.
So what was that last bit that you said?
She says that she told Zaphreal when she noticed the blood on his ear. She goes, "We are actually looking at your god, Zaphreal," and then she's gonna peek past them to see if her bottle is on its way.
We'll say yes. At this time, the paled skin, red-haired, freckled nerd comes back to you on this sort of the side of the library, and you notice he's a bit more paler than he was when you first had met him, and you can see that his hand is currently wrapped with some gauze, and he seems to be a bit of a bleeder, and that instantly, like, your eyebrows just suddenly, like, and like the hair on the back of your neck sort of stands up, and then you have to sort of like in that moment sort of like push down as you can just smell the blood coming from the wound in his palm, and he just looks at you nervously. Here you go.
She takes the bottle and her leg is kind of shaking as she's eyeing him, and she goes, "What a good little pet." As she flicks another experimental potion at him, right along the plate now.
And he kind of shakily raises up his glasses. Okay, and he kind of goes back to the other side of the library and occasionally looks back over his shoulder, then quickly looks back forward.
As he walks away, I'm gonna put my hand on his shoulder. I'm sorry, friend.
He looks up to your massive Zaphreal form. Yes.
By the power of Tord, I heal thee. I'm gonna cast Cure Wounds at first level.
And he like looks down. Oh wow, thank you. Oh, and he kind of like takes out some of his bandages, and his wound is like completely sealed up on his palm.
If it's relevant, he got 8.
Yeah. I'll say that he says like, oh, this will make my research so much easier, Mister. Thank you.
Wow.
I won't bother him any longer. I'll just let that moment pass.
Okay.
Watching him walk away, she like sniffs the blood and she pours it in. She pulls out a shallot and pours it in and swirls it to let the blood breathe. And she smells and she goes, "Virgin, pure, mommy issues, delicious." And she takes a sip.
Oh, and it's so good, and it's rather fresh, you know, and so like compared to like what you've had to like sort of like ration yourself on, so to speak, you know, this is some really good stuff, and it reminds you that you're going to need a feed soon, because just this little morsel, you try to like, you know, you try to nurse it, but it's hard because it's so delicious.
Oh no, she like completely chugs the shallot and then like just drops the shallot and grabs the bottle and chugging it like a fucking brain.
Yeah.
So taking a look at the tomes and books that are strewn across the research table here. Oh, so what have you all found so far?
You see Mhox, not even recognizing that you guys are fucking there because of how engrossed he is, kind of like buttering to himself. So if this shrine is here, it seems that it ties to the Phoenix here. High likelihood that they're the one and the same, so this shrine might be the most important. Now we just need to figure out where the location. So if we focus on this, we might be able to track down this. Oh, Zaphreal.
Friend, I think let me assist.
We've actually, as he's kind of like rubbing his temple, because he's been so focused, like it's like whenever you've been in the screen for too long and you like have to like
Right.
reset your vision because you've like
Yeah.
almost developed nearsight.
I'd even say like maybe there's a slight irritation to your eyes because of like how much you've been like reading, you know.
Between Fia and I, we've more or less confirmed that the Phoenix and the Druid have been interconnected since the beginning.
Standard cough.
There's a high probability that the Druid is tied to Melora as an avatar of her, and the Phoenix is an avatar of Paylor.
With my knowledge and studies of religion, would I know anything specific about Paylor and Melora?
You're muted.
Go ahead and make a religion check.
$25.
Yeah, I mean, when you are like sort of raised and sort of like groomed to become a knight of the what's it called again? The Circle of Knights that you're from.
I have it here. Hold on one second.
It's like the Knights of
The Round
something
Table.
with a C. Anyways, just to say that you have like quite a religious education and large amounts of like, I mean, specifically.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
The Order of the Radiant Seraphim.
That's what it is. Yeah. I'll say that like you are familiar with the association of like the Phoenix to Paylor, and in the sort of cosmic sort of myth legend, it's said that Melora and Paylor are some depict their relationship as lovers, and more others are it's more depicted as like companions. More or less, they are very much tied together as a pair, uh, especially in like the beginning of like the very creation.
I know a fair amount about both of those deities.
Well, that may prove fruitful. We've managed to find the predominant shrine for Melora, which is beneficial, but not necessarily the key focus at the moment. We're trying to track down the Shrine of Palor to see if that can give us the keys on to what we need to do in relation to Fia.
Although I'm not certain of the location of the shrine, there's a very large temple dedicated to Palor near our headquarters in Urim.
Yep, that's true.
I mean, we could
In
always
fact,
go there if we can't find a different shrine or the original primary one, but
it may be a decent backup for information should we not find any. We have done some work for the Temple of Palor in Urim, and we've worked directly with their high priest. So we're at least on friendly terms. Additionally, there may be some, at least, help to point us in the right direction at the Temple of Cord in Urim. Because although I'm a devout follower, my area of expertise in the clergy is not as proficient as my combat prowess.
So, oh, were you going to say something, Mox?
well, I think we leave it to Fia. I believe if we go to anything related to Palor, if it becomes known that she is the embodiment of the Phoenix, I think we will have more than enough assistance from those followers based off of what we've found here, since they're
So-
usually depicted as one and the same.
So the question I ask, Fia, are you with everybody?
Yeah. So Mox is the one who kind of is getting a better idea of where it might be, but I think we should check out the original shrine if we can get an idea of where it's at, and then go back to the temple by the headquarters if we're not able to find it or if that becomes unfruitful.
From my understanding, there a lead that we may want to go down is to potentially visit the School of Abjuration. Palor and many of the other lawful good deities within our pantheon, they focus a lot of their magic on transmutation, abjuration, and other forms. I don't know a whole lot of the spells, but I do know from our clergy that a lot of our spells are of those schools of magic.
So with that, I'm going to say we'll do another round of research. It sounds like you guys want to do a last little check to see if there can be anything you can find before turning to a different sort of resource. So if y'all want to like buddy up, you can get advantage with some assists. But just let me know like what you're trying to look for, or if you're trying to help assist, or anything like that.
Cassandra is going to help assist because her golem is doing all the book work for her alchemy. So she's
Gotcha.
she's tonguing the shit out of the wine bottle, trying to get as much as she can.
Sure.
You know, soon she needs to visit a prison or find some thugs to drink from.
Sure.
So I'm going to Cursebringer Mhox. I imbue you with Fox Cunning. I'm going to cast Enhance Ability to give him advantage on intelligence checks. And then I'm
Nice.
going to work in conjunction with Fia to see if I can share any insight on what she's found out so far.
Okay. Does anybody want to assist Mhox in his search? I guess Endless, if you'd like to, you could, if you want. Or yeah.
Yeah, English will go ahead and assist him.
Okay. So go ahead and Fia, you can roll for an investigation check, and Mhox. Wait, someone was assisting Fia, right? I know Zaphreal.
Yeah, so I'm assisting Fia. So
but you buffed Mhox, I see.
yeah.
All right, so go ahead and roll an investigation.
Me too.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead and roll an investigation check at advantage, and then you as well, Mhox.
14.
14. Okay.
It's a 23 for Mhox.
You have advantage.
Yeah, that was 23 at
Oh,
advantage.
Gotcha.
Okay, Fia. Was there anything in particular you want to try and look into, or do you want to keep dialing in on trying to like potentially find a location for this Phoenix shrine?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do, unless Mox felt like he had a good idea of where it was at. But it seems like that's where we were stuck.
I'll say the books that you end up finding, that you end up sharing with Mox, gives you both a really good starting point, because there is an excerpt of a some sort of monk or clerical person in the past, and we're talking like about 1800 years ago. And it alludes to the shrine being atop a peak, and the placement of the shrine is intentional because of like how the sun rises in the sky, and with that knowledge, Mox, that gives you enough of a fervor to get up and start like widening your search of what you were looking for before. And the let's see here. What languages do you speak?
Abyssal, Common, Giant, and Infernal.
Okay, so you do find this. It seems to be a recovered journal that's been later put into print, and it seems to be in a language that is not familiar to you, but there are passages that are written in Common throughout the book, and you get a essential. We'll just say like. It would take some studying from someone who's proficient with the arcane, but there's essentially like, you know, like I think about it being like, because in this day and age for teleportation magic, they essentially have a coordinate system, and this is essentially coordinates for the shrine, but it's written in a way that's like not like. I guess you would need to study that little bit of text more to get an idea of like what the actual coordinate is. You get the idea that they are, but just from your familiarity with coordinates, it doesn't even look like you're dealing with the same system here, if you know what I mean.
Gotcha. Would I be able to recognize the language that it's written in? Like, I obviously I can't read it, but would I know what language it is?
Make a history check for me. Which I think still falls under your fox cunning, right? Is that in?
It's intelligence-based check, so yes.
If that's the case, 17.
So it is a language you do not recognize.
Okay.
And it is completely alien. However, the fact that it is so alien, kind of like, in some ways, I mean, I don't know how well read and astute you are as an individual, But just from what you've learned through your career as as Cursebringer Mhox, like there are a handful of extremely old languages that are completely dead and then have been dead for thousands of years. And this text, like, in a way, you kind of intuit that whatever language that this is in, it is extremely old.
I think we might have coordinates, or at least a form of coordinates. The text is written in a extremely old language. It might even be as old as the Solarian Empire, but I think we have at least something to work off of. Based off of what Fia's read, it seems like it's some temple on the top of a peak, and now we might have the exact location. We just need to be able to transcribe it into our modern day coordinate system.
Are we able to discern the language? Like, at least depict what language it is?
You might be able to. It's outside of my depth of knowledge.
How astute do you think you are? You want to try rolling a history check, Zaphreal? See if you can recognize it.
I'm good at it. I'm good at history. But I know Celestial, Common, and Elvish.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll roll for it if you'll allow it.
Yeah, please go for it.
Well, that's an 8.
Oh boy.
I'm proficient if that helps.
Okay, I'll say this. You do not recognize this language. However, there is one takeaway that you can share when you read this, or when you try attempt to read it. It's. I mean, you might as well be reading Gobbledygook. But it has a sort of celestialness to it. Some of the verbiage and the way that the sentences, although you don't know what you're reading, has a certain flow that is similar to celestial. Which, with that in mind, and with the idea it could be extremely old, like it certainly could, limit down the amount of languages it could be, so to speak.
It seems to have derived from, or there's similarities to Celestial in here, but this is definitely an ancient language.
Which would make sense. Everything we've gotten in relation to Paylor and Malora is that they left avatars whenever they left this plane of existence, way back when the gods still kind of ran rampant on this plane, doing what they wanted on any sort of whim. So there's a high probability that it's an offshoot of modern Celestial because it was written by the Celestials in that age.
Well, this could very well contain the answers that we seek, but I don't know if we're going to be able to find someone who can translate it here.
I don't know if we necessarily need to translate the whole thing to be able to find the temple. We just need to be able to convert this set of coordinates into a modern system.
What language is it?
We don't know.
It's unknown.
It seems to be a derivative of Celestial, but more ancient.
Do I have anything on my character sheet for that? Or actually, DM, could I ask, use my sword to talk directly to the Raven Queen, or the sentience of the sword, to see if the sword can read it?
Nice.
I don't know so much about the sword, but I can take a look at what your history skill is at if you want to try and roll
Sure.
a history check.
Because my sword is sentient and it is connected to the Raven Queen, so I didn't know if maybe it might have ancient knowledge.
Sure, I don't know about it being able to read it for you per se, but I'll go ahead and.
Oh no, I'll ask it.
Okay.
She's gonna pull the sword up and be like, and ask it if it's able to. Are you able to reach out and find anyone that might be able to speak this language in the Shadowfield?
I don't know if I've decided. This is the first time you've talked to the sword, so let me just think here.
I don't know.
I can tell that this is old. Extremely old. Maybe even older than our god that we worship.
Interesting. I appreciate your insight. I will. You may go back to sleep now.
Which I'll give you a little bit of a reminder. The Raven Queen wasn't an original member of the pantheon of gods that created the world in their image, and was a god that was later, maybe we'll say about 1,000 years later, was sort of like risen up to godhood.
Okay. She'll look at Zaphreal as she as she puts the nearly empty bottle down. Maybe you should contact your god. Mine's a little too young.
I don't have a fancy sword to communicate like that. I can see if I can't pray at dawn, see if I can't find anything else out. Maybe we could speak with the librarian or the lore master here, see if we can't borrow this book.
She looked at her sword, looked at Zephyr. She's like, "Oh, you don't have something like this?"
Oh no, I have a lance that pierces the skies.
Oh, fancy. He snickers.
Mox, will you just roll me a quick perception check?
That's an 11.
I'll say that you, as you close the book, that you, after you're done transcribing this makeshift coordinates down on some paper, as you sort of close the book itself, you notice that the maybe like 10 or 15 pages further down, there is a slight inconsistency of the size of the spaces in between pages, giving you the impression that something may be tucked away.
Well, given that, Mox is going to open that bitch back up to look at that page there.
When you read this note, it's sort of written in a very basic code. Like at first, like it's not, you're not sure what it says, but after quickly sort of like working out how you're supposed to decode it, it seems to be a note left by another student. At the bottom, it's signed from Sebastian, and it seems to be a note to a girl named Anne, and it is talks of the sort of secret locations of like the more sensitive type of tomes and books, and where it may be stored. And it seems that they have a plan to have met at there's a certain spot on the 3rd floor of the library. There seems to be some sort of secret entrance near one of the mantles on the 3rd floor. But yeah.
Does the ink look fresh?
I will say with your investigation roll, it's kind of hard to tell. I mean, it's definitely at least a couple days old.
bigger question is whether or not this may prove fruitful to follow up on in relation to the tome that we're holding in our hands at the moment.
As far as I can tell, this is a lead of which we didn't have before.
Indeed, I think, or more accurately, I have experienced too much in this life to consider it to be a coincidence to find this in the very book that may hold the key to what we need to explore further. So, shall we proceed?
Yeah, I think we might as well check it out.
At
Go
the
to the
very
secret-
least, we can try to locate these persons.
That's what I'm thinking. It appears that they have developed a cipher for whatever they've got going on, so they may very well have figured out a way to translate this text.
Well, let's take the note, and if we can't find a trace of them on the third floor, maybe we can ask of some general inquiries about these people.
Indeed. Mox is going to hold on to this book as well.
Of course. So, what's the plan? You guys going up to the third floor?
Yeah, we're going to go find their secret hidey hole.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Let's see here. I just want to do a quick little check-in. Do we want to sort of wrap up here, or do we want to play for another 30 minutes or so, or how are you guys feeling? Because this could be a good place to stop, potentially.
I am torn because I am very engrossed in the lore drop, but I also worked at 12 today, and I have to be up down in Salt Lake at 6 a.m. tomorrow for another 12. So,
Oh, Christ. Okay, well, then we'll say this. As the party kind of gets a very exciting lead, they will make their ways up to the third floor in search of this sort of mantle to get a better idea of what exactly could be hiding in this enormous domed library. And we'll leave it off there for tonight.